Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name's Max and today I'm going to be showing you the best way to complete a critical study or transcription or whatever you call a copy of another artist's work, specifically for score, to make sure that you're hitting all the criteria that you need to and getting it as accurate as possible. I hope you find the video helpful. Let me know in the comments if you do, and I'll see you at the end. The first thing you need to consider before starting your piece is the scale that you use. Using a larger scale will allow for more detail, but a smaller scale will be quicker. I recommend using a larger scale. You can, of course, trace the sketch using a light box, but I recommend using the grid method and doing it by hand because it betters your skills. Obviously, this will take a lot longer, but it's a good practice to get into, and you'll get quicker the more you do it as your observational skills progress. If you struggle, you can measure the distances between features on your image and replicate them in your copy. Choosing the right materials is also important. You might not have access to the materials used by the artist originally, or like in this case, the piece may have aged so that the materials look different to how they would be originally. Swatching materials, as I've just done, is essential to ensuring you've got accurate colours throughout your piece. Texture is important as well as colour. You need a sharpened pencil or a thin paintbrush for details, and thicker materials for larger areas. Pay attention to warm or cold undertones beneath the colours. An easy way of ensuring your piece looks accurate is by using a range of tonal values. What I'm doing here is adding midtones, but afterwards you definitely need to be going in with darker colours to add your darkest shadows. Throughout this entire process, you need to be constantly referring back to your reference image. If you don't, you won't be able to spot and correct your mistakes. It's also important to remember the point of these exercises. Every time you copy a new artist's work, you're learning a new set of skills and techniques. It's important you approach these tasks with an open mind. Obviously, you're not going to love every single piece you copy, and you won't use every technique you learn moving forward. But you might encounter a new style or method that really inspires you. You may also find it useful to take photos of each stage of your piece so that you can see it develop in hindsight. You could make notes on elements you found difficult to replicate and elements that you'd like to take forward into your own work. When it comes to colour, tone and texture, I find working in layers to be very useful. As you can see, I'm working in the dark tones on top of the medium and light tones. I also mapped out the basic tonal structure before adding in the crosshatch texture. This is helpful because the darkest parts are often the most noticeable parts of the piece, and they're also the most difficult to erase, so by mapping out them beforehand, you're more likely to get an accurate finish. I should have mentioned this before, but it's also super important that when you're doing your sketch you use really faint lines, because otherwise you'll be able to see them coming through on the lighter parts of the image, such as the forehead here in this one, and that especially goes for the grid if you use the grid method like I did. Obviously, I'm using coloured pencils today, but my tips I've shared go for any medium. You want to make sure you really understand the properties of a medium before using it, or before using it in combination with other mediums. I've made a whole video explaining my best tips on how to make mixed media art, which goes into some of those details, but if you have any mediums that you'd like me to go into specifically, then let me know in the comments and I'll do that. Another reason these exercises are so important is because it allows you to analyse how the artist is using the formal elements, so that's colour, tone, composition, line, etc., to express a message, and that's going to help you in the future with your own work to create your own messages within your pieces. This is something you're going to want to talk about in your annotations, and you can see mine kind of poking out under my reference image there. Some people think that the more analytical side of art is a waste of time because it's not actually drawing, but I can assure you it really is useful. Here is my final piece. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you have any more questions at all, please let me know in the comment. I have a whole nother video on laying out annotations which I'll link for you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!